The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
The Evergreen Park area has one Cub Scout troop, and we're going to be talking to them as they get ready for another year. We got a big annual August event happening. We have all the details about the third annual Picnic in the Park Food Truck Festival happening this week. I have the categories and the top 8 seeds in this year's Battle of Evergreen Park, expanded from 16 contestants to 32 this year. And all of it is brought to you today by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. I love telling stories about my experiences at the First National Bank of Evergreen Park in that iconic building at 95th and Pulaski. Just in this past week, I've had 2 incredible experiences that I don't think you would get at your normal big banks. Sure, there's no ATM fees no matter where you pull your money from. That means if somebody charges you a fee, they just put the money back in, making every ATM you can find free for you. And there's no overdraft charges. But I had to gather several years of banking records. I needed them for my business. I need them for my personal account. I walked in the door the other day and I was like, this is going to be difficult. And one of the friendly bankers walked up to me and said, what can I do for you? And I told him, and instead of making me sit there, wait forever, no fee or anything like that, it was, Chris, just write down what you need exactly. Give me your email address. We'll email it to you. They could see that it was a big deal, and they just wanted to be helpful, and they had the time to do that. Then I go in there a couple days later, and you got that blue screen of death that's across all these different computer systems. Airlines were shutting down, banks were shutting down. First National Bank of Evergreen Park was operational, and I come walking in with another request. I got to find a record of something. Again, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it for you. We're going to get the job done, and they got it done for me. I don't think you get that at the big banks. You get that with your local community bank. Stop in and see them today, the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. Again, the top 8 seeds, the big boys, not the entire 32 that are competing, but the top 8 seeds and several new categories for the Battle of Evergreen Park being announced in just moments. But first, popping in for a moment, Colleen Klimczak. She's been on the show before. She does Your Organized Life, which is a podcast that helps you get your life more organized. She's been a big help as I'm trying to navigate sending my 18-year-old off to college, and which is something I'm still wrapping my mind around. And on top of being somebody who's highly involved in the community, she's also a member of the school board for District 124. And you guys have your back to school bash coming. How are you?
I am great. And I thank you for having me here. And your daughter's going to do great things, and you're going to be fine too.
Good. Just give me a guarantee. Can you write that down and sign it?
Sure.
Her father messed up a lot. I was put on academic probation and didn't even realize I was on it.
Oh, gosh.
And then the next semester, I was getting kicked out.
Ooh.
And I had to go find, I'll tell this story real quick because it's a true story, Colleen. Okay. So luckily, and I keep trying to tell her this, your father was a screw up, I tell her. And the only thing that saved me was I spent 1 year at UIC living with my parents.
Okay.
And as an honor student, I had about a 4 GPA in my first year of college because my parents were there. The moment structure left, and I could walk into a bar at 19 years old because that's the rule down in Champaign, Illinois.
Wow.
I just stopped going to school. So I didn't realize it, but I was on academic probation, but I wasn't opening my mail. And then I got a notice that they were kicking me out.
Oh, my gosh.
And I had documentation that I had dropped a class that they didn't know I had dropped. But it was sitting on my desk in my home in Chicago.
And nobody opened it.
And I had to get that to them by 5 p.m. on a Friday. And it was 1 p.m. on Friday. 2 hours each way. I got a 4-hour window and a 4-hour drive. And I jumped in a buddy's car and drove to Chicago. My parents on a Friday afternoon having not seen me for 2 months in the middle of the spring.
Oh my gosh.
All of a sudden the door flies open. And I'm like, hey guys, I just need to get something from my room. Run up the stairs.
Oh my gosh.
What they must have thought. I come down, they've told me since then that they're like, he's in trouble.
Yes.
I come down the stairs with this letter and I'm like, no time to talk. And I run right out the door.
Oh my gosh.
So now I'm in the car. I'm speeding
And there are no cell phones.
I get pulled over by the state police.
Oh,
and I've got my
stop.
dad's Chicago police hat on, like a baseball cap.
Thank goodness.
And the guy pulls up, the police officer, no lie, walks up. All I have is a baseball cap on. I'm only 19 years old.
Oh, my
And he looks at me and he goes, sorry about that, officer, and just walks back. I'm wearing an Illini t-shirt. I'm 18 years old. I have a CPD. It just says CPD on it.
You're
And
barely shaving at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, sorry about that, officer. It just leaves me. I'm going like 20 miles over. I didn't even have a chance to tell him I wasn't the police. He just walked away. I was like,
okay,
that's
we'll
a gift.
It.
And
we'll
I just
take
took
it.
off.
Yep, we will
So
take it what it's for.
I pull in, park illegally, because I can't find parking, run into the administrators or the bursar's office or whatever it is, and run in with the thing as they're closing down and give them the letter, or otherwise they would have released me from the school that day.
Oh my gosh. That day.
That day. I was told that's what was going to happen. They then say, okay, you weren't on probation technically in the first semester. You're on it this semester.
Oh my
and if you don't get your
goodness.
grades up, you're out of the school. And then I had to turn my whole life around. Like, that's how close I came to getting booted.
Yeah, you're
right. So I worry about her going away,
Yes,
Colleen, because
that is
she's
not
got
the story.
in her blood is kind of a goofball. Like, she's still half me.
You've rallied.
I have, but everybody thought I was really well put together too. And then I just went there and became an idiot, and I had to put it back together again. All right,
And you did.
I know. And if she shows up at my door running in, I'm not even asking a question. We'll talk about it later after she fixes it.
That's what cell
my
phones
policy.
are for.
Okay, let's talk about
my
these.
gosh.
Let's talk about these younger kids.
Okay.
District 124 is doing their back to school bash.
Yes. So I want to clarify that the Evergreen Park Elementary School District Education Foundation hosts the Back to School Bash.
Okay.
So it's the foundation that hosts it every year. I have been a part of the foundation since it began over 10 years ago now. So the district, it's the foundation that supports it with support from the district. So I just want to put that out there. So I am a worker bee when it comes to the foundation. I am no longer an executive person, but I am one of the people on the board that also does foundation stuff. And I've been doing it every back to school bash so far, except for last year, which we didn't have because it was so hot. The ambient temperature on the blacktop was 140
I remember that.
degrees.
I remember that you guys had to cancel it because it was
too hot. And it was the blacktop at CMS.
Yeah.
So we could not have little people frying their little feet. So the Evergreen Park School District 124 Foundation will host the annual Back to School Bash on Thursday, August 22nd. That is the first day of student attendance this year. So that'll be Thursday the 22nd from 5:30 to 7 at CMS. Popular favorites will return, including the foam pit, which is wildly popular. If you've ever seen...
I've heard about the foam pit.
The foam pit.
I think, honestly...
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They love it.
I haven't been in the foam pit yet, but I'll be at this event.
They love it.
Maybe I'll get in the foam pit.
It's a hot mess.
Yeah.
It's so messy. But my kids are older now, so I just know that the ones that they love it. So foam pit, cotton candy, popcorn, airbrush tattoos, raffle prizes, and food. We'll have taco truck out there again. Community partners include the Evergreen Park Police Department, the EP Fire Department, the Rec Department, the Public Library, and of course the EP Podcast, because Chris said he would be joining us as well. We'll also be joined by a few local businesses that graciously sponsor this event. In the past, we've asked families to bring items for the Evergreen Park Food Pantry. And this year, because through the foundation, our school buildings are hosting monthly food drives. So we are shifting gears. Instead, we would like to support our area families in school supplies. So we are asking that if families remember, if they could bring extra school supplies to the event, and we will absolutely distribute those to families in need, and families that participate in that will receive a free raffle ticket for some of our cool prizes. Some of the popular prizes in the past have been principal for a day at all 5 of our buildings, lunch with the superintendent, a ride on the fire truck to school. It's kind of fun. So all of those will be some of the things that we have that will be raffled. In addition to the crowd favorites, we will have a few new fun activities, maybe a dunk tank. No, I will not be in it. Hula hoop contest and more fun. So hope to see you. I will see you. Hope to see everybody listening on on Thursday, August 22nd at 5:30 at CMS.
And if I remember this correctly,
Yes.
and you correct me if I'm wrong.
I will.
Because we've talked about this now for a couple years when you guys have the bash.
Yeah.
The bash is open to everybody.
Oh, yeah,
You don't
absolutely.
necessarily have to have a kid in the school
No,
system. You
not
may
at all.
you may be from the neighborhood,
Yep.
and let's say your kid's going to Redeemer or something
Yep.
like that, but you want to go to the back to school bash.
Absolutely.
Okay, it is open to everybody. It's more of a community
Yes.
fun event.
It's very
not
fun.
something exclusive to just if you have a kid in the system.
No, it's awesome. Anybody can. I think it's a very walkable event. I always have to pack stuff, but otherwise I would walk because it's just very walkable. Yeah, it's not cordoned off. We don't check IDs. People can just wander into the parking lot and have their fun and talk to the area. Like I said, the supportive businesses in the area, and also all of the library, fire department, police department, everybody's there and supporting this really fun, activity for everybody. So yep, stop in. Thursday the 22nd at 5:30 to 7. I'm hoping that there is temperate weather. There is a rain date of the following Thursday.
Otherwise, get the fire department to pull the hoses out and start spraying people down.
That's what the kids were doing in the foam pit.
Back in the 80s, when it was a hot day, they just opened up the hydrants. Okay,
There you go.
Remember that?
They did the fire hose. They didn't do it last year. I think they did it the year before, though.
Yeah.
So they were
spray
just
some kids with the fire
dancing in
hose.
the
They'll love
puddles.
it.
Yep,
Right.
they
Exactly. All right. Colleen, thanks so
I'll
much.
be there. Yep.
22nd. Mark down your calendars. I'm sure we'll mention it again before it actually happens. And the EP podcast will be out there at the Back to School Bash.
Awesome.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. You may be the next co-host here on the EP podcast, and the only way to register right now to be a part of that competition, which will kick off in earnest in September, is to reach out now and tell me that you're interested. Lots of people sending messages through the eppodcast.com. If you have audio, that's even better. If you want to tag us in a social media post, anybody is eligible. But if you're going to sit in front of the microphone, you got to show me what you got. We'll be taking some of the contestants and including them on shows this fall, and we'll see whether or not we get a match here in the basement at the 9-foot homemade oak bar. Before we get to that, though, we have the Battle of Evergreen Park in August. It kicks off the entire month of August. You will have the Battle of Evergreen Park, a competition last year that got an incredible buzz and was mainly between restaurants, bars, some dessert places. Wolf's Bakery, in the end, faced off against Rosangela's. Rosangela's won. A lot of fun competition between a lot of these places. They were kind of ribbing each other on social media. Some folks got really into it. This year, I'm expanding the field to 32. If you are not geographically inside of Evergreen Park, you cannot be a part of it. And we're adding some non-food or drink establishments. 32 different establishments going head-to-head in the Battle of Evergreen Park this year. There are 8 4-contestant pods in each bracket. So these top 8 that I'm going to announce right now will be the 1 seed in their 4-contestant bracket. The complete bracket will be announced in the days and weeks to come. And I haven't finalized it. We have 2 or 3 spots still open. So if you have a suggestion, if you are a local business, you think you should be in this, reach out through the eppodcast.com. Here we go. There are 2 restaurant pods for a total of 8 restaurants in the Battle of Evergreen Park. Restaurant Group A's number 1 seed, Porter Cullen's. Last year, Porter Cullen's did advance deep into the grid, but was knocked out right before it got to the Final Four. They get another opportunity in the Battle of Evergreen Park. The other restaurant pod number 1 seed is Spoke and Vine. They were brand new last year. They won their first round matchup and almost made it to the Final Four, losing by percentage points to the eventual winner, Rosangela's, That earns them a high seed. In the next corner of the field of 32, we have a comfort food pod, and that foursome will be led by Pappy's. Pappy's made it to the Final Four last year. They knocked off Tavern in the Green and Porter Cullen's to get there, and they will be one of the high seeds. The comfort food pod will face off against the winner of the dessert pod, and the runner-up last year, Wolf's Bakery, will be the number 1 seed in that foursome. Those are the top 4 seeds on one side of the bracket. We move to the other side of the bracket and the pizza pod. 4 different establishments that offer pizza in Evergreen Park, the number 1 seed, last year's winner, Rosangela's. The winner of that pod will take on the breakfast and beer pod. These are places that specialize in breakfast or are essentially a bar. Hart's Saloon will be the number 1 seed in that pod. And then finally, a wrinkle in the Battle of Evergreen Park, we have non-eateries. A fitness pod. Evergreen Park loves fitness, and the number 1 seed will be Core Fitness and Physical Therapy in the fitness pod. The winner of the fitness pod will take on the winner of the apparel at the Plaza pod, a foursome of apparel stores in the Evergreen Park Plaza. Macy's will be the number 1 seed. 8 out of 32 possible winners of the Battle of Evergreen Park have now been announced. The rest of the bracket to be released in the coming weeks and online. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram as the Battle of Evergreen Park arrives in August, right here on the EP Podcast. Before we get to our final guest here on the EP Podcast, it is now time for your EP Podcast Word on the Street, brought to you by Spoken Vine, Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie, and just announced as one of the top 8 seeds in the field of 32 that is this year's Battle of Evergreen Park. It's not just the wine that gets them on there. It's a great selection. There's wines from all over the world. It's always changing. And it's not all the events, and it's not all the tastings, and it's not even that delicious sangria that they have this summer. Make sure you check it out. It's the menu. They're killing it on the food right now. Small plates, flatbreads, and try the pinzas. Every time I'm in there, I get myself a pinza Roman pie. Try it. It's not a flatbread, it's not a pizza, it's something beautiful in between. See more at SpokenVineWines.com. The 3rd annual Picnic in the Park Food Truck Fest happens this Thursday, July 25th at Klein Park, Circle Park, if you like calling it that, 97th and Homan. Kicks off at 5 p.m., goes until 8, and this is always a great event. The first 2 years, huge. I expect it to be bigger this year. Lots more participants. The EP Podcast will be out there. Come by the tent. I'm expecting to have some face painting there for the kids. Confirmed food trucks and vendors include Baracos, Hawaiian Food Truck, Nikki V's, Rojo Verde, Quincy Culinary, Menkeshkesh Coffee Roasters. The youth department's going to have frozen treats. Beverly Records is going to be spitting vinyl. And guest bartenders will be serving drinks with profits benefiting the food pantry here in the village. It's a beautiful night every Thursday night. The entire village seems to come out. That park is alive during that festival. We will see you this Thursday, the 25th of July in Klein Park, kicking off at 5 p.m. The next 2024 Summer Concert Series performer here in Evergreen Park is going to be at Sexton Park on August the 2nd as the Smiley Tillman Band will kick off at 6 p.m. And the Office of Citizen Services now accepting applications for the Memories to Go annual village-wide garage sale held on September the 7th, 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Yukich Field. Get over to the village website, get all the details. And time is running out. Get your reading hours in for the Sweet Summer Reading Program over at the Evergreen Park Public Library. If you've been reading all summer and you haven't logged in, there is still time. Get to evergreenparklibrary.org. Win some prizes. We're going to have another great sit down with Frank Murray of the EP Library next episode. This episode, we still got one more guest here. we have a Cub Scout troop in here. Not the entire troop. I have those that are behind it right now. I have Jean, Laura, and Peter Kelly. And Laura's the one that reached out to me, so I'm gonna go to you first. Give me the pack number where you're out of and what's going on, because you reached out and I said, oh, of course, we've got to get you on the EP podcast.
Sure. Yeah. So I am a den leader with Cub Scout Pack 3637. We are run out of Queen of Martyrs Holy Name Society, which is now a part of St. Gianna Parish, and I oversee incoming fourth graders. So that's the group that I work with. However, the entire group invites kindergartners through fifth graders for both boys and girls.
Is it everybody in the same age group or when you're a Cub Scout, or do they separate them out to like the kindergarten Cub Scouts compared to the fifth grade ones?
Yeah, it's based by grade. So Peter is what we call the Weeblo Scout, and that's the fourth grade range. But we start with the Lions and kindergarten, so it's built towards that grade level, and then we have tigers, we have wolf, bear, and then, like I said, Weeblos, and then our last one is called Arrow of Light, and that one, those scouts prepare for future Scouts BSA, which is most people know as the Boy Scouts.
And you're a scout leader, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Jean's leading them. So mom and dad really into the scouts. Is that how you got into it, Peter?
Yes.
Yeah? How long have you been doing it? Since kindergarten?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, I would imagine you can start your own fire and kill a bear with your bare hands. Is that
No.
What have you learned so far in the Cub Scouts?
I have learned knife safety. Like when you're using a knife and you're trying to like scrape the bark off of wood.
Okay.
Then you gotta face it away from you.
So you know how to get the bark off the wood,
Yes.
but you're not quite ready to light the wood on fire. Have you figured out how to do that yet? Rub two sticks together?
That's this year.
This year you get to start fires? Are you excited about that?
Oh my God.
So just first of all, we are the only Cub Scout pack that's operating within Evergreen Park.
Okay.
That does not restrict people who are outside residents. So anyone that's in the area, per se, is invited to join our pack. You do not have to be a part of the parish. We even have somebody who's a part of a different parish that came over to our pack. So it doesn't have to be a certain religion, anything like that. If you're interested in scouting, if you're interested in getting involved in, outdoor activities, building life skills, learning social skills even, and building that confidence, that's pretty much what we do.
Is it a season? Because you have a sign-up period that's coming up. So is it a year-round thing? Is it something that's far more active in the summer because they're in school? Or how does that work?
Our scout year begins when the school year begins. So It basically ends, our major activities end around when the school year ends. We do have camping in the summer. We go, it's optional, so no one's required to go. We go to a camp in Michigan called Camp Betts, and Peter and I will be going there in a few weeks.
Yeah, this year is SPY, but the original date was we couldn't go there because of flooding.
Okay. Yeah, no, you don't want to be anywhere where it's flooding. Not at all. But you get to go do camping. Like take me through a little bit about if I'm just joining the Cub Scouts. I can't. I'm too big. But let's say somebody else is joining the Cub Scouts, one of my children, my 9-year-old, if let's say he gets in there, or one of the other kids that might be a little bit younger, what can a parent expect them to do in the calendar year? Is it mainly meetings? Are they doing skills? Are they earning badges? What would you tell me that they're doing?
All of the above. We have one monthly meeting we call a pack night, and that's all the various. So each age group is called a den. So we're the Tiger Den or the Weeblos Den. We have one pack night. We usually have a theme tied to that. So this is a fun activity. Sometimes we are learning skills. Our individual den meetings, which we typically have once a month as well. That's when we go. There's some requirements to earn various achievements and the rank. So Peter is a Weeblo Scout this year, but he has to earn his Weeblo's rank. But if he doesn't get it, No big deal.
If he doesn't get it, they just kick him out of the Scouts. Right? They bang on a drum. He's got to go walk down a line while everybody else mocks him. He's got to ring a bell. No,
not quite. But he is obviously still continuing in the scouting journey. But our programming is built on earning that rank.
Okay.
And then we also earn various achievements throughout the year. Plus lots of fun. Peter knows all the fun stuff.
And you get the uniform, right? Do you still have the yellow handkerchief around your neck? Do they still do that?
Yes.
Yes?
Kind
they got
of.
That? Uniform's still kind of there? Is
Yeah.
how I would remember it?
Yeah, there's different color neckerchiefs based on the different grade levels or the different ranks.
Okay.
But a point to make is you don't have to start in kindergarten. So let's say there's an incoming fourth grader that wants to be, getting into Scouts and hasn't done it before. You can enter at fourth grade.
Does that kid have to go hang with the kindergartners, though?
No.
Okay.
See, that's
what I
the
would
good thing
worry
about Scouts.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way that the learning works, a lot of the skills that we work with, it's repeated each year, but it's more advanced. So let's say, the first graders, their first aid learning might be building an escape plan from their house and memorizing their phone number, that sort of thing. First aid in fourth grade, they might start to learn how to bandage someone's wound. So the skills get more advanced as the children age.
Okay.
And they build those skills.
So they're learning
each year.
things. It seems like what they're learning at first is taking care of themselves and taking care of others. And
Yes.
then some of the other skills then become more of those outdoor skills, things that might be a little bit too dangerous for a kindergartner, like starting fires, right? I mean, exactly. So, I mean, like, it's a gradual thing that you're teaching them to do. Do you see most kids that go through this program, because I know you said you had an older son as well, do you see most kids that go through this program then decide they want to stay in this? They jump into the higher levels of Scouts at their Cub Scouts. They become more active outdoors, do more camping, things like that.
Yeah, I would say, the majority of them are really excited to move on to what's going to be known as Scouting of America, what we know as Boy Scouts or BSA. But they get really excited about being independent and being able to build their own tents and, learn these outdoor life skills. Last year was the first year that my older one went off to Owassapee, which is where he is right now. And as a mom, I'm a little nervous. It's the first time he's been away from home. But when he came back, I just knew, this is right for him.
He loved it.
He loved it.
That's awesome.
He was just, full of stories. And another good thing is there's different electives. There's different skills to choose from. So you don't have to have necessarily an outdoor personality or, like my oldest is very technical. He loves to build things. But my youngest, he's a little bit more of a theatrical comedian, but there are some electives that cater to kids that want to do something more artsy, so to speak. So there's a little bit of, a pot for everyone to choose from to build on their own personalities and their own interests.
All right. So how does somebody sign up? I would imagine there's a little bit of a fee. I would imagine but how does somebody sign up or get more information from you guys? I keep trying to get my kid out of the house. His two siblings are much older, and so that is my everyday struggle, is for him to do something other than sitting in front of a computer screen. So if I want to get him involved or somebody else wants to get their child involved, how do they do that?
Yeah, so we do have an email address that I will share. It's cubscouts3637@gmail.com. And we do have upcoming registration dates available in August and September.
Okay. And if somebody's got questions, they can use that email if they want to reach out in advance, things like that.
Ask questions. And if you are interested in learning more, we do have a kickoff night on Wednesday, August 28th at 6:30. It's going to be at the Queen of Martyrs gymnasium. So you can come by, ask any questions that you might have. If you wanted to fill out a registration form at that point, we can do that. And we usually have a fun activity for our kickoff night. So usually we'll have, exotic animals for people to learn about. Sometimes we'll have something a little bit more, hands-on, like a bounce house type thing. So we haven't quite figured that out yet, but we'll have something fun. And then we also have another night, Wednesday, September 11th at 6:30. That's our official registration night. So that's going to be more like a meeting that we have. And our meetings the majority of them are on Wednesday nights.
We also have, it's a Scout website, so this is for all nationally, beascout.org, and that you can type in your zip code, and it'll show. If this zip code 60805, it will show our unit as the first one on the list for their age group.
All right, Evergreen Park's Cub Scout pack number 3637. Peter here is a part of it. Did mom and dad make you go sleep in the backyard every once in a while and tell you it's training?
No.
It's a good idea.
Why didn't the trees go to the baseball game?
Why?
Because they weren't rooting for anyone.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.